Okay, so today we're looking at exercise 3C, solving linear equations with one unknown. So one unknown means that there's one number in the equation that we don't know, so we need to solve it. So a few definitions here that we need to look at is an equation. So an equation is a mathematical statement that says two things are equal. One side of the brackets is of equal value to the other. Okay, so whatever is on either side of the equal sign, they will be equal to each other. Linear equations produce a straight line when graphed. Linear equations contain one or more unknown values whose powers are always 1. So what that means is that if you look at this line, you can notice in all of these equations there are numbers with powers that aren't 1. So there's a 2 here, a 2 here, and a 3 here. That means they are not linear. Okay, we're only going to be looking at linear equations. So it's going to be these ones, examples, because there are no powers here. Okay, and for exercise 3C, we're only going to be looking at equations like this because we've got m as the unknown, which is there's only one. We won't be looking at, say for this one, a plus b, because there are two unknowns. Okay, so today we're just looking at one unknown. Okay, so solving linear equations means to find out the value of the unknown variable, so the letter. This is the process to follow. So number 1 says to undo the equation by applying the opposite or inverse operations. Now, if you're not sure what they are down here. Pretty much means, so if something is getting added, so you've got a plus 3, to solve or undo the equation, you do the opposite, so you would subtract because it's plussing, so you subtract, you do the opposite. To know which part of the equation you do first, you need to follow BODMAS but in reverse order. So it looks like this. So subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, indices, and then brackets. Number 3, keep the equations balanced. So the same operation must happen on both sides of the equal sign. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. Number 4, you need to state the solution. So what did you find to be your variable? So what does x equal? What does s equal? Depends on your equation. Number 5 says to check the solution is correct by substituting back into the equation. So once you've found, oh, well, I think x is 5, put it back into your original equation and see if both sides of the equal signs equal one another. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do. Okay, so here's an example. So we've got x plus 6 equals 10. Okay, so going from up here, number 1 says to undo the equation by applying opposite or inverse operations. Okay, so we're trying to find x, and it's got plus 6. So that means we're going to subtract 6. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So you're going to subtract 6 from that side. Okay, the reason to do that is to kind of cancel out those numbers near the x, because we want to get the x by itself. So plus 6, we're going to subtract 6, which means we've just got x equals 10 minus 6, which equals 4. Okay, x equals 4. Now, to double check that that's right, you can substitute that into the equation above. So here, instead of x, you're going to put a 4 plus 6 equals 10. Okay, 4 plus 6 does equal 10. So you know that you've got it right. Okay, that's how we get this. Solution is correct. Now, if there's an equation that has brackets, you need to follow one of these two methods. It's up to you what you prefer. Method 1 is expanding the brackets first and then solving the equation. Method 2 is to undo the number in front of the brackets first and then solving. Okay, so for this one, number one, we've got 4 times everything inside the brackets. Okay, so to get rid of that 4, you can just divide both sides by 4, and that gets rid of it, so you no longer have brackets. Okay, because that goes away, it cancels each other out, so you get x minus 3 equals 24 over 4, which is 6. Okay, and then obviously you're going to get rid of the 3 by adding 3 to both sides, because it says subtract 3, so you've got to add 3. So these are the 2 methods that you can do if there are brackets in your linear equation. Another thing, collecting like terms. So like I said, for this chapter, we're only looking at equations with one variable in it. But sometimes you'll see that same variable more times than once in the equation. Okay, so it's the same one, but more times. So that means you have to collect like terms. So the definition here says like terms is the exact same letter, the exact same value unknown. So let's say for this example you've got C, so wherever you find C, it's the same number. So first step says group like terms by adding / subtracting the values. Okay, so this is our equation. 6 times C plus 2 equals 2 times C minus 2. Okay, so the first thing it's done is expanded the brackets on each side. Okay, so expanding brackets, that means you go 6 times C, which is 6C, and then 6 times 2, which is 12. And then on this side, you go 2 times C, which is 2C, and 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4. So that's how you get that line. Okay, now the fact that you've got C's on both sides, okay, which means you've got to get them on both sides pretty much. So we're going to move it, I guess you could say, to move this 2C over to that side, you have to do the opposite, okay, do the inverse operations. So at the moment it's a positive 2C, so we're going to subtract 2C, which means we have to subtract 2C from the other side. We do that because 2C minus 2C is 0. That's how you get negative 4 here by itself. Okay, and on the other side you've got 6C minus 2C, and that's how you get 4C, because 6 minus 2 is 4. And this plus 12 stays. Okay, you can't add 4C plus 12. Okay, it doesn't equal 16C, because the 12 doesn't have a C next to it. Okay, so it just stays like that. So now you've got a bit of a nicer equation to work with. So you can go to step 2, which says solve using inverse operations. Okay, so for this one, we're going to get rid of the addition first. So we're going to get rid of the plus 12, so we subtract 12 from both sides. And then you've got 4C, which technically means 4 times C. So you're going to divide by 4, because the opposite of times is divide, which is what we've got here. We're dividing by 4, so you should get C equals negative 4. Now, again, it's important to check whether you've got it right. So here we've used the original equation, but instead of C, we've put negative 4. Okay. Once you go through that, you'll find that each side of your equal sign says negative 12. Okay, because they're the same, that means you got it correct. So yes, C does equal negative 4. You can use a calculator. Okay, so your CAS instructions here, it's very simple. You go to add calculator, menu, algebra, solve. Okay, and then it'll come up with solve in a bracket. You then put in your equation, making sure you press comma and then type your variable. So in this equation you've got a t as the variable, so that means you have to do comma t. Okay, because it tells you to find, or it tells the calculator to find what does t equal. You hit enter and t equals 11 over 5. Okay, so that's 3C. You need to continue on with your work for that one in your textbook.